Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Good morning to you. How are you doing today, Mr.
Good morning.
Babatunde?
I'm fine. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, Mr. Babatunde. There has been, conversations around issues that border around the wage award as well as the minimum wage, where Mr. President had, appealed to the governors, asking them that. They should begin paying the wage awards to workers pending the determination of the new minimum wage, which is due to expire this month, right? To reduce the hardship of the economy on the people. Now, Mr. President also noted that if states had implemented the wage awards, it would provide the much needed relief without causing inflationary pressures. However, 34 out of the 36 state governors have yielded to the president's appeal to pay workers 35,000 naira wage award, which in some cases is lesser. Now, we know that the governor of Enugu State, in the person of Peter Mba, is paying between 10,000 naira to 25,000 naira, while the governor of Oyo State, in the person of Sheyi Makinde, is paying between 15,000 naira to 25,000 naira. And this is already 2 weeks since the president has made this appeal. Now, in this regard, even in the light of this, on March 14 or thereabouts, the Nigeria Labour Congress expressed anger over the failure of about 90% of states, that is about over 30 states, defaulting in the payment of wage award as agreed by the federal government and the organized labor. Now, it is also no news the fact that governors now cruise with triple allocation since the removal of fuel subsidy. So what comes to mind, for you? Don't you think the president is somewhat being, or could we say that the president is being insensitive to the plight of the state governors who say that they are financially incapacitated to pay such? What is your view on this?
Well, thank you very much. First, it is actually, embarrassing and a shame that the president has to be appealing to the governors in the face of the mass hardship, poverty, and impoverishment of vast majority of Nigerians, for them to implement the wage award. Because since the removal, of the so-called subsidy, we know that allocations to states and local government has tripled. While this has happened, there's been no any commensurate investment in both infrastructure and other things that will make life easy for the ordinary citizens of the state. What we have seen is that we have seen the governors, living in opulence, living large, and without any care, for the people in their states. Because traditionally, the focus has always been more on the federal than on the subnational in Nigeria. And I simply think that for the president to even appeal to them shows the fact that our governors are terribly insensitive. Because I don't think the president needs to even make any appeal. We all know the current reality in Nigeria, and the least we expect is that the governors will make efforts to make life easier for the Nigerian people. Then number two, I think even the labor movement too has failed.
Yeah.
In its rule to put pressure on the state government, on the subnational, to be able to do the needful to ameliorate the problem, of our people. But most importantly, for me, is the fact that we need to understand where our problem is coming from.
Okay.
Because there's this saying in Africa, this saying generally in Africa, that when a child falls, a child looks forward. But when an adult falls, you trip and you fall, you look backward to know exactly why did I fall. The current crisis we are facing, crisis of this cost of living crisis in Nigeria, especially in particular, is a product of this wholesale adoption of IMF World Bank policies that has shown over the years cannot in any way help developing countries. The same thing, these same policies of throw your currency to the dogs, remove any form of what is it called, any form of subsidy, is the same policy that in the early 90s was forced down the throat of African countries. Under IPB, we had the SAP, and we know what SAP did not only to Nigeria but to the whole of Africa. The same people who are telling us today that float your currency, the same people who are telling you that take a raw form of subsidy, you go to their country. So, I mean, their subsidies, they don't float their currencies the way they are telling us. There's a margin.
Are you there? Okay. All right. We'll still get back with our guest. All right. I think we're back on track.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Policies that they are forcing down the throats of our leaders, and which our leaders don't have the courage to say no to, are the fake policies that they introduced in the 90s, called structural adjustment program, that destroyed all African economies. Now again, they are bringing back the same policies of say float your currency, remove subsidy, go to Europe and America. The pound, the dollar, the euro, there is a margin that it can never fall below. If it falls below it, the government massively intervene using all measures. But they will come to Africa and third world countries and tell us, float your currency. What is the philosophy behind floating your currency? Float your currency so that you can sell more to the world. What does Nigeria sell to the world other than crude oil? What do we sell? The philosophy behind flotation of currency is that make your export cheaper so that you can sell more. The question, what do we sell? If you go to Europe, go to America, up to tomorrow they have different form of subsidy for their citizens. There's child support, unemployment support, what is it called? There's council housing in the UK. In Nigeria, what do we have? What subsidy do we enjoy as citizens? IMF World Bank, those boys, IMF World Bank boys, they are all children of subsidy. They went to school free, almost free of charge. But they will come here and tell our government, I float your currency, remove all form of subsidy, something that they can never do in their country. So, because if we don't understand the root cause of our problem, we will not know why we are here.
Just before
IMF World Bank is not a friend of any developing country.
Before you,
they are here to impoverish our economy.
Yeah, before you
for their own advantage.
Before you progress, there is something that you made mention of, and I want to shed more light on it. I want you to shed more light on it, and that would be the place of. You mentioned something about us, about us bowing to international pressure. That was on the one side. And you mentioned another thing about the policies. Now, my question would be, where exactly do our problems lie? Is it in the policy, or is it in bowing to international pressure?
First, the policies we implement are IMF World Bank inspired policies that our government, the current government,
right?
Because these are all agents. Let me tell you, we need to understand something as Nigerians. When you talk of agent of CIA, agent of MI5, MI6, they are not people that you think go about in dark alleys, carrying gun, putting on dark suits. No. The agent of IMF and World Bank, the agent of imperialism in Nigeria are the people in the corridors of power. All of them. Because they are the same people who are beholden to Western interests. That is why when elections are coming, instead of talking to Nigerians, you know where they go to? They all go to Chatham House. They want to go and convince imperialism that they are the best candidates for them, who are the best agents for you to use to impoverish my people. So these are not in the sense. They are not Nigerians who owe a duty to Nigerians. Beginning from the very top to the governors, all of them, they are agents of imperialism. That is why their policies is not about meeting the needs of Nigerians. It is about doing what IMF World Bank dictates. We saw a president who, without any form of consideration, without even getting in the stadium and knowing exactly what the realities are, on the day of his inauguration, he announced there is no more subsidy. Today, look at where we are. Our currency has been. In fact, with due respect, we know what. Look at what our currency is. Look at the cost of living. Look at how people's wages and income have been messed up. How lives have been made, have been destroyed.
You and I know that that didn't start from the president. It began with the past administration. That process of subsidy removal.
But this is probably the worst, because he didn't even have the patience to get into the saddle to be able to make an informed decision.
Okay.
It was on the day of his inauguration he made that declaration. Others at least have the patience to first get into the saddle, see the realities, and then to be able to at least make an informed decision.
All right.
Today, you are taking with the right hand, and then you say you want to give back with the left hand. It's not possible.
Well,
and then you go about and say you want to give palliative. The only palliative you can give right now is to at least go back to the status quo, and then let us make an informed decision in the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians. IMF, World Bank is not the friend of any developing country.
Many Nigerians are saying that we are mostly reactionary. Of course, it's no news anymore. Rather than being proactive, we are mostly reactionary. That's why it is also gathered that the National Minimum Wage Committee, was given that mandate to ensure that all negotiations regarding the new rate were finalized before May 1st of 2024. Which is Workers' Day, so that the president would announce the new minimum wage in his Workers' Day address. And then it just brings to fore the fact that, hey, there has been talks about the need to have a new minimum wage that would be justifiably so agree with the living condition of Nigerians in a time like this. Now, given the circumstances of intense hardship and with inflation pegged at about 37.1%, do you find this justifiable? May 1st, 2024.
Well, to start with, whatever minimum wage you are going to announce right now has already been made a mess of by the rate of inflation. That is the truth about it. Given the rate of inflation, the cost of living, whatever minimum wage you are going to announce has already been decimated. I guess what the labor movement should do is what they do in other climes, where the minimum wage is tied to the rate of inflation and it is adjusted automatically once prices of goods and services go up.
Okay.
That is what we need to do. We can't afford this idea of we go and set up one committee that will consume even more money than the minimum wage they want to announce in the name of negotiating a new minimum wage. No, the labor movement needs to wake up and adopt that principle of time minimum wage to the rate of inflation. Because even when you do it, even the government will sit up and they will think through whatever policy they want to implement. They knowing that once you implement a policy that will lead to a rise in the cost of goods and services, automatically you need to adjust the minimum wage so that people can have a living wage. That's what we need to do. Because even just like I said, whatever they announce now has been made a mess of by the rate of inflation. So before you know it, in 2-3 years or 5 years time, they want to start another one. The whatever minimum wage they announce now will have become meaningless, and that is why we continue to have other crises in the country. That's why corruption keeps, keeps eating into the very fabric of our national lives. Because people will survive one way or the other, as they say, water will find its level. When people's wage cannot, their salaries can't take them on, they'll find other ways, they'll cut corners. So we must tie minimum wage to the cost of living.
Cost of living, okay. Well, let's take some angles by the National Minimum Wage Committee, where one of the opposition is that the position of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, Nigeria's Employers Consultative Association, and the government, according to the National Minimum Wage Committee, will be looked at and they said after that they would find the aggregate, find a percentage, and arrive at what would be agreeable as a new minimum wage. Now, my question, and what is on the minds of many Nigerians, is the process so cumbersome that it cannot be achieved given the expiration of the current minimum wage of 30,000 naira to meet the said deadline, or at most April? Why May? Do you think it's even feasible?
Okay, sorry. I mean, I lost you at the point, but if I get the gist of your question.
Yeah, now, the National Minimum Wage Committee is saying that, according to them, the position of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the position of the Trade Union Congress, the position of the Nigeria Employers as Consultative Association, and the government will be looked at. And after that, they would find the aggregate, find some sort of percentage, and arrive at what will be agreeable. Now, the question now is, these are processes that should have been thought of, a long time ago. Why is it coming lately? Now, it's coming lately at a time like this, but then is this process so cumbersome that it cannot be achieved, especially when you look at the fact that the current minimum wage of 30,000 naira is meeting its expiration by the end of this month? And now the deadline has been put for May.
Oh, okay. For me, I simply think it's the labor movement that needs to get its acts together. The idea of setting a date for expiration of minimum wage and then the process of negotiating it, knowing exactly the fact that you have a date, ought to have started long before now. But I think what happened was that the policies of the current government, especially the flotation of the naira, as well as the removal of fuel subsidy, has actually, catalyzed the process of negotiating this. Maybe if those two policies have not been implemented, maybe by now, the idea of even negotiating a new minimum wage may not necessarily have been on the agenda. Right. But like I said earlier, what the labor movement needs to do is to put in place, or rather negotiate a process through which the rate of inflation is directly related to the minimum wage.
Okay.
So that once inflation goes up, there's an automatic process of increasing people's minimum wage. Because if you go to places like the UK, the idea of going to negotiate minimum wage really is not on the agenda. Because already they have this process, the system is such that once the cost of living goes up, immediately the minimum wage is calibrated to be able to compensate for that increase in cost of living. So I think that is what we really need to do if we really need to give people what they call a living wage. This idea of setting a date for when to negotiate a minimum wage, I think is not realistic, and it's not the international best practice. The international best practice is that you link the rate of inflation to minimum wage, so that once inflation goes up, you calibrate the minimum wage to be able to compensate for that increase in the cost of living.
All right, let's put a peg to your thoughts. Open the phone line so the Nigerians can have their say loudly and clearly on Eagles Outlook. Now, you also want to be a part of the conversation. You've heard our guest, have his own voice on the matter. His name is Babatunde, Oluwajo, and you also want to bring your voice in. You could do so via the studio number 0907-353-0044 or 0908-766-8888, and the WhatsApp portal number where you can send your WhatsApp message to, as well as voice notes or a text message, is 0909-705-4450. And like I'd say that, look, you can watch what is going on in the studio live on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel at Eagles FM Abuja. Well, still talking to you, Mr. Babatunde. Okay, before we go ahead, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, John.
Yes, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes.
I greet our guests in the studio. God will bless them. God will bless you too. My name is Bibi Blessing. I'm calling from Masako.
All right, Bibi
I
Blessing.
want to ask now. The minimum wage where are they talking about? Our senator are they be paid minimum wage wey they are talking about? And subsidy removal where our president may move. The money are we still dey pay for subsidy removal? Now wetin we wan know be that.
Okay.
And if we no dey pay, why our president, we wey we be common man, we wey we be making up for this age every day, wetin be our gain for it now wey common man now? You go see media people and not be na media sef, people wey dey can write, dey write up and down say fuel don come down. And NNPC now they don come out say fuel never come down. Why our president no come and talk to us say okay make fuel come down so time so that make people no dey suffer? Na wetin I wan beg our president, make people enjoy the president regime, make e carry fuel come down for us. Even though now we dey hear say about the dollar, we no dey produce anything. What of all this company wey don lock up? Make our president do effort, make sure this company they revise them back again so that we can use our naira to produce what we get. Not every day come out too picky, we go dey butter for outside country they come. We get milk for all over. We can take and do too picky. We can take and do anything wey we want to do. And not be for here with snake. I know say when we make them give everybody access, make them produce whatever they want to produce. All the company where they don't close, make them open and make this president use opportunity open and make give everybody license. He couldn't open the refinery, may he give all the language license, make them produce image, make them produce fair for us. At least all this hunger, he will come down. He go call, he make them pay. All the people they don't promise the minimum will make them pay.
All right,
we beg our president may do that for us. God will bless and may we use prayer to back her up.
All
God
right.
bless you.
All right, Blessing. Thank you so much, BB Blessing, for that. Mr. Babatunde, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, the network has been quite funny, but I'm here.
So BB Blessing is saying, is the president and the ministers also affected by the minimum wage? Big question she asked in there. And then she's also saying that are we still paying subsidy over fuel? And if we are not paying subsidy over fuel, how has this benefited the common man? These are the questions that she's asking. You have a reaction to that?
Well, okay. To start with, if there's anything that before now, either to the ordinary Nigerian was benefiting, was the relative, cheap cost of petroleum products.
Right.
That's probably one thing that touches the life of every Nigerian, irrespective of where you are in Nigeria. And that's one thing they have taken away from us. And for some of us who have contended ever before now, that what they call this whole subsidy is phantom subsidy. Phantom, something that does not exist, something you create artificial. Because using common economics, Nigeria has petroleum, to have crude oil rather. If our refineries are working, there are so many costs that would not be part of the cost, the landing cost of petrol at the filling station. The idea of freight, shipping costs will not be there. Custom duties will not be there. So many other meaningless costs will not be there. If Nigeria is not a failing state, our pipelines are such that once you produce any refinery, you can transport this through the pipeline to at least to major centers where the cost of transporting from the depot to the nearest filling station will be very minimal. But because first Nigeria is a failing state and a failed state for that matter, we cannot even maintain basic refining capacity. We cannot maintain our pipeline infrastructure, and because of that, we become an importer of refined products. And because of that, so many costs that ideally should not be part of the cost of producing a liter of fuel was added. And this is what they turn around to call a subsidy for us. And then the next thing they tell us that people take the fuel outside Nigeria. First, is it my duty as a citizen to make refineries work? Is it my duty to go and police the pipelines? Number three, is it my duty to monitor the borders? Such as smugglers are taking products out of Nigeria. all these are failures of governance. And instead of facing the issue, the citizens are being punished. It was like one of them when they wanted to buy their car for 160 million. I remember one senator in a very shameful display of ignorance said that the reason why they have to buy those cars is because the roads in Nigeria are bad. So for them, the solution to bad road is to buy Jeep. So what happens to me as an ordinary man?
All right, I put a peg to your
instead of thinking of how to fix the road. And that is the logic of those who rule us. Instead of fixing the problem, they punish us. They turn around to punish us.
All right, let me put a peg to your thoughts and go pay some bills. We'll be right back with this conversation, all right? But just to also bring to your eardrums that Milikari, the NNPC, the chairman right there, had come out to saying that the Port Harcourt refineries should be up and running in no time. And we are hoping, against hopes, that when this comes to bear, right? When this comes to bear, that we'll begin to see all of these things, come to pass, and that we'll begin to see the shape of things, coming through in our dear country. Well, we'll be right back. This is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Eagles Outlook it is. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hey Abuja, are you ready? Introducing IVR Arcade and Bowling. Your ultimate destination for non-stop fun and excitement like never before. Are you planning a birthday party or group event? Look no further. Bring your family and friends to IVR Arcade and Bowling. Your ultimate destination for non-stop fun and excitement like never before. We've got unlimited virtual reality and arcade games, car simulator, air hockey, PlayStation 5 on a big screen, archery. Also, perfect your aim in our cutting-edge bowling alley.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hi there. Do you want to know how to get the correct approval or documents for your land and property? Do you need the right information on how you can prevent your building from being demolished? Then tune in to Town Planning Program on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja every Thursday by 5 p.m.
No offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio.
Eagles 102.3.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying tuned to Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, your radio experience that you can count on. My name is Uduak Daniel and we're still talking the wage awards versus the minimum wage, and we still have our guest who is on call with us. He's in the person of Mr. Babatunde Oluwajo right there. Mr. Babatunde, welcome. Thank you. But then let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Uduak.
Good morning to you.
Thank you. I greet our guest. This is Alami from Central.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think that guest, I didn't join when he introduced himself. I must say that he spoke as a card carrying member of opposition member. He actually called Nigeria a failed state. And I just want to tell you, if Nigeria is a failed state, you will actually not have the privilege and the opportunity of sitting comfortably wherever he is having this conversation with us. So the fact that he's able to do that, and you're also able to speak with him, confirm that Nigeria is a failed state. And I think that is not an opinion, it is a misinformation, and that is an irresponsible comment, to make, calling Nigeria a failed state. And I put it to him to actually bring evidence, and also look at the definition of what makes a failed state. If he cannot do that, I think he should retreat and apologize, send an all-reserve apology, for making such an irresponsible comment. That is just what I call to say. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for that. Anyways, though, this is the Eagles Outlook right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, and your radio experience that you can count on. Well, Mr. Babatunde, are you there? Hello? Mr. Babatunde, are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, the network was misbehaving.
Okay,
Please, if you allow me, respond directly to him.
Okay.
In case he doesn't understand what is a failed state. A failed state, first and foremost, is a state that cannot guarantee its territorial integrity. The constitution of Nigeria is very clear that the primary duty of government is the security of the people. The security of Nigerian people on both indices, Nigeria has failed. Nigeria is a country where we have mass abduction of hundreds of people almost on a weekly basis, and then they come back and tell us we have rescued them. How they were rescued? Don't know. Nigeria is a country where citizens pay tax to non-state actors, where government pays ransom to bandits and criminals. So what is he saying? What is that man saying? Does he even know what he's saying?
No.
As a child, just calm down, please. As a child, I was less than 19 when my dad put me in a vehicle to go to school in University of Jos. Today, how many of us can put our child in a public transport from city center to Gwagwalada without panicking? What is he talking about? Today, how many people can comfortably put their child, say, okay, I want to travel from Abuja to Lagos without having panic attack and calling almost every hour? I'm still telling Nigeria is already exhibiting the features of a failed state, and I'm saying and I stand by it. Those who should take action should take action.
Yeah, we hope that the government will take action, and we are seeing some of the action the government is taking. It's just that Nigerians are also saying that they need to see rather than just hear, on the dailies. By
the way, people like him who claim to be carrying members of one party or the other are the problem of Nigeria, because they don't tell their principals the truth about the true state of Nigeria.
Babatunde, you should be the bigger person, okay? So let's just let it go. We're still talking about the issue of the minimum wage and the wage award, right? But then let's just focus on this just a little bit. At least there is a rationale that governors are already peddling. Governors are asking the National Minimum Wage Committee to consider each state's peculiarities at arriving at an acceptable figure. What does this portend to you?
Well, like I said, for me, the issue of minimum wage, we need to adopt a different approach to it. And I think the labor movement just need to sit up and learn and implement further, because I'm sure they understand the international best practices when it comes to negotiation of minimum wage. Until we tie minimum wage, first and foremost, to the rate of inflation, our government at different levels will not be careful with the type of policies they implement. But because if they know that these policies will cause hardship, in terms of by way of cost of living and other things, they won't implement certain policies because they know the implication that immediately their wage bill will go up. And most importantly, however, is that if you look at it, how many percentage, what's the percentage of Nigerians who earn salaries? Nigeria is likely an informal sector, where majority of us, we are just in the hands of God, like the slogan of Enugu State. We are in the hands of God. So there are policies that they implement that affect the vast majority of us, more than they affect those who are in the formal sector. And that is why we need, therefore, to put pressure on the government to understand the nature of the economy they are running, so that their policies, therefore, will be a fit for the type of economy we have.
Okay, very quickly.
You can compare us with the economies.
Yeah. Very quickly, let me chip this one in. I mean, how would you react to the news where the organized labor is appealing to the president to map out a law that would ensure that tough sanctions be meted on governors who fail to implement the new minimum wage when it becomes law? Is that a way out?
I see nothing wrong with that appeal.
Okay.
But that is actually, for me, is not the way to go.
So
it is in the labor movement that should get ready.
Yeah.
For me, the labor movement should be the one to get ready for a protracted battle. We have seen it from 1999 to date. For every major increase in minimum wage, majority of the states fail to pay. And I know people, labor leaders in some states, for example, the likes of Ayodele Akele, may God rest his soul, who was victimized by this same president called Bola Tinubu in Lagos State because he was demanding for implementation of minimum wage that Lagos State can afford to pay. He was then the leader of the public sector workers in Lagos. Ayodele Akele was victimized, was sacked, and unfortunately, I'm not even sure he got his benefit until he died.
Okay.
This same President Tinubu was the governor then.
Yeah.
So the point is that the labor movement must be ready for a protracted battle. These governors, they are only interested in me, myself, and I. They will not pay. That's the truth. Forget the fact that they are part of this negotiation. If the labor movement is not ready to fight, they will not implement it.
Okay. All right. I would have loved to go further, but there is yet another event that's supposed to take place in the studio. But Mr. Babatunde Oluwajo, thank you so much for adding your voice in the conversation today. It's been really a good time talking with you.
Thank you for having me.
That's right. All right, and we'll just very quickly jump into a couple of your messages, and then we'll go on a short break, and of course bring the next program to your eardrums. Now, we got this one. It says, good morning, UD. This is James from Suleja. I want to appreciate the guest, Mr. Babatunde. Posterity will be kind to those of us that have chosen to be logical in their analysis, devoid of sentiment. He has summarized the issues we are currently facing. Propaganda can only mask the true state of things, but for how long? Like the proverbial statement of giving a dog a bad name just to hang it. They vilified people-oriented benefits and policies like subsidy, but do you know they now subsidize the dollar for BDCs so as to maintain a fixed rate? Because how else do you explain determining the rates BDCs sell at, because you are the one selling to them? Well, you've got a couple of other issues that you've raised, and oh my goodness, quite a number of messages coming in. And I want to say to you that Abaz, all the way from Dutse, I'm seeing you. You say, I think a must government. Okay. Okay, most governments take it away. It's a misconception for people to think taking away subsidy on fuel is the reason behind Nigeria's economy dwelling. I beg to disagree. If this government have not found the courage to remove it, she would have seen paying billions to subsidize fuel. And I mean, I can't take all of these messages, but I also see you too, Komode from Kubwa says, I strongly agree with your guest on his analysis. Minimum wage should be proportionate to inflation and should be quick in doing such, though the NLC TUC never envisage the astronomical increase in inflation, so there is no way they won't call for government attention. All right, and okay, I'm just going to scribble this through. Tekembi Hundu right there says, this is bad in Nigeria today. Mirage of problems confronting us, but we are hopeful that things will get better. We'll want to appreciate the new CBN governor for the good job he's doing so far. If he continues this way, he may be one of the best to ever serve in that office. And finally, as this one says, it is obvious, from the utterances and uninformed opinions, of I think of Mr. Babatunde, is completely all right. This saying as bias is, oh no, come on, let's leave that. But I just want to say thank you, Alamin, for that one that you've sent